Pauline Hanson, welcome. I hear you're keen to get on Good News Week.
Very much.
Have you ever seen the show?
I'm sorry.
Still, you want to be on Good News Week?
Very, very much. Very much.
What would you do?
I believe in asking the questions.
Wait a second, Pauline, I'm the one that asks the questions. If you're the one that asks the questions, then you're taking my job.
It's so important to me.
How dare you take jobs away from good, hard-working people when they're working hard and they're people? How dare you? It's Good News Week. Someone from above, somewhere from Chamonix, the atmosphere blackening the sky. It's Good News Week. Someone found a way to give the running and the will to live, go on and never die. It's Good News Week. Thank you. It's Good News Week. It's Good News Week. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to Good News Week. And the big news? According to the latest opinion polls, Julia Gillard's approval rating has slumped. The Coalition has an election-winning lead, and Tony Abbott's climate change scare campaign is working. The carbon tax, the carbon tax. We were going to have a carbon tax. But while Julia's star is waning, Kevin Rudd's is rising. So his cunning plan to get himself shafted so people would like him again is finally starting to pay off. The polls say Rudd is now the preferred Labor leader. People have really come around to the idea that one day he could be Prime Minister. Gillard's approval rating has actually fallen to 34%, 5 stabs behind Kevin. But Abbott's popularity has fallen too. When he was told he'd scored his highest ever disapproval rating, Tony punched the air until someone pointed out that's actually a bad thing. The polls also confirm the Coalition has an election-winning lead. If only they'd had that when the election was actually on. But it's not all bad news for the government. A majority of voters support a carbon tax when they understand that only big polluters will be taxed and households will be compensated. Unfortunately, stopping people understanding things is Tony Abbott's speciality. Tony insists carbon dioxide isn't the environmental villain some people make it out to be. Not when there's single mothers, boat people and puffs about. Huh? Am I talking to you? Am I talking to you, heartland of Australia? A pox on both their houses, I say. All we want is a leader who's honest, who says what they believe, who actually stands for something and has some sort of genuine passion. At this stage, Bin Laden's looking pretty good. Desperate to win us back, Gillard has claimed that who we thought was the real Julia was actually just another imposter, fabricated to win over the voters. And now she's the actual real Julia, who stands deeply and truly for very important principles that are perfectly aligned with whatever we currently believe. And that's the good news. Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, with a song in our hearts and a party in our pants, the lovable puppy Mikey Robbins.
Oh, thank you.
Bringing her greatest hits and on a wing and a prayer to the Melbourne International Comedy Festival very soon, the Holy Mother, Fiona O'Loughlin. And also heading to the Melbourne and Sydney Comedy Festivals, author, TV star, one of Britain's best stand-ups, the overachiever Mark Watson. Yeah, they love him. They love him. And they're climbing into the ring with the pink powerhouse, Claire Hooper. Coming to the Brisbane Comedy Festival tomorrow, then on to Melbourne with his new show, Man vs. Will, The Dark Dream, Will Anderson. And she's captain of the Australian Opals, the world champion, and voted most valuable player 3 times in the WNBA. The best, Lauren Jackson. Lovely to have you on the show, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. What have you been up to?
Well, I got injured. I was playing in Russia, so I got injured and came back, had surgery, and now I'm just rehabbing and getting ready for America.
Were you drunk on Russian vodka at the time?
I am not allowed to say.
And Will, how are you?
I was once on stage and I got a stitch.
It's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah. Then I had a drink and I was fine.
Have we got you back in Australia for very long?
I'm just back for the tour, and then I'm back to the States, where I've been doing some shows over there. I have been trying to get the language right, and I thought that I got everything right because I'm kind of like a bit anal about making sure the words, they're going to understand it. And I was using what I thought was an American expression, and it turns out that it's an Australian expression that just sounds like an American expression, which is if you were going to have a meeting with somebody and you had to cancel it, you would say, I blew off that meeting, right? But I went to a meeting and they said, what happened to that guy you were meant to meet earlier? And I said, oh, I blew him off. And they went, well, that's how you'll get jobs in Hollywood. So...
I once sprained my ankle on stage. You know, I've hurt myself quite often on stage. Yeah. Do you know I'd hurt some kids one day because I was...
Because you're a Catholic priest, yeah?
I was in it. Shut up.
Hey, careful.
Hey.
Mother Superior's here.
Yeah, what's it? Well, I was in a kids' show and I was doing high kicks at the front of the stage. And the kids, they get out of their seat and they crawl up and they come right to the front of the stage, and I accidentally kicked one of the lights off the stage.
It taught them a lesson, Claire.
You have an assigned seat, children.
You damaged any... Well, we can't ask if you've damaged any children. Clearly you have.
No. I actually have a scar on my leg from Russell Brand.
From Russell Brand?
Well, not technically from him. He was on stage. This is, you know, the Bear Pit in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
It's the roughest gig you can do, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't normally end up actually with physical fights with Russell Brand.
Well, you're there to die, really. It's like the Colosseum. They come, the comics are the Christians, and we get eaten by the lions. Anyway, I was on next. Russell Brand was being, like, they were screaming at him to get off. And so he stormed off, and then I'm on next. Adam Hills introduced me, but then they encored Russell Brand again. So I got pushed out of the way. Russell Brand comes back onto the stage, and they only brought him back to boo him off again.
That's Britain for you. We still fucking hate you. Come back.
That's what they did. So he threw something at the audience, and then this Scottish guy chucked his jar of beer at the stage, and it smashed, and somehow a big shard of it went up and behind the curtain and got me in the leg as I was being introduced. I was pulling a hunk of glass out of my leg.
A smart jar.
And I've still got the scar, and I polish it. Who else can say they've got a scar on their leg?
And who else can say they polish it? In terms of injury, does it count? Psychological injuries count? I've seen her naked on stage.
He saw my ass.
His arse was the least of it, mate. Yeah.
You know, Fiona's ass, there's a crack down the middle that she polishes all the time.
Give her credit, it's very, very shiny, yeah. That is the story, basically. I was on stage and she just ran on naked.
No, streaked.
Sorry?
Oh, come on,
sorry. Yeah,
No, Fiona, you thought it was your hotel room.
No, it was he used to do a 24-hour show, and he used to encourage comedians to come by and just muck around and do something. So I thought, I'll do something. I'll streak.
Yeah, you did something, yeah. Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning like this, and I forgot I lived in a modern world with YouTube and iPhones. And
yeah, if you go on YouTube and put in...
Don't!
Actually, if you just put in Fiona O'Loughlin, you'll probably get that.
It's the most beautiful... So, you know she's going to be working the Opera House this week.
Fully clothed.
And Mark, how long have you been in our country for now?
Oh, just a couple of weeks. Similar to Will, I'm just trying to adjust to the language. I've been here a lot now, but there's always one or two phrases. My phrase for this trip that I've learned is to hang shit on someone. As in, so I said, he's got a really long nose, so he hangs shit on him. I thought, how long is this nose? Support a tray? It's lovely. I really love it here. It's just things like that, basically. Total disrespect for the English language, for decency. Female Prime Minister now doesn't really make any sense to me, but just a Welsh Prime Minister as well.
They're very behind Julia there. Does anyone really know about her?
We're sort of proud of her in the same way that you all love the Queen over here and the
Oh, yeah, I know.
No,
we love the Queen.
Well, you kind of got to, really. What with all the problems they've had in New Zealand, and it was just looking like they were in real trouble, but now William's over there. It's all fine.
And he said, what do you say to make them feel better? Grief is the price we pay for love.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to. In his family, it's true.
So, That's why I like being here, because in Britain you wouldn't do that joke.
Well, it's lovely to have everyone here. Shall we start? Yeah. The first... There you go. The first Stoush is What's the Story? Team versus team. Best answer gets the points. Players, cough up! What's going on there?
That's a chicken. That's not a chicken.
And it seems that embryos are doing heroin.
Not before time.
Anybody?
Yes, I think Lauren knows.
Come on, play with it for a while.
Lauren knows. Lauren knows, and she's bigger than all of us, so let her say.
No, those chickens have been genetically modified by Helen Sang, the geneticist, and her people, of course, those scientific people, to not spread or contract the bird flu.
OK.
Wouldn't it be easy to give them tiny little masks over their beaks?
Apparently you can genetically modify chicken embryos, which is great news for KFC, who are just going to inject the 11 secret herbs and spices straight in.
You know what? I think that's how the Colonel started.
Yes, there you go, Mikey.
I tell you what, it's not finger-licking for nothing, mate.
Gone down a very bad road already, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what the Colonel said. I actually do feel sorry for the chickens. Apart from the ones that are yummy. And let's face it, everyone likes chicken. Yeah. And that's the problem, so do other chickens. Because that's how we got bird flu in the first place. No, not like that, Paul. Don't be dirty. I mean, really, mate, you know, there's a level.
How did we get bird flu?
Because we were feeding leftover chooks to chooks.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, creepy. And that's how that's how the disease became genetically modified through bad protein feed to the chickens. So now, rather than just stop feeding chickens to chickens, we're going back in and messing with their genetics. I see somewhere down the road a 10-foot rooster that'll fuck you.
I do love this story, though, because before the bird flu, the #1 way that chickens died were amusing ways that they were crossing the road.
Scientists in Britain have indeed created the first genetically modified chickens that don't spread bird flu. The modification is harmless to the chickens and the people who eat them, although the process of eating will still harm the chicken. It also makes the bird flu virus harmless to other poultry, unless it mutates into some sort of super strain. But as if a virus would do that.
You were talking about everybody loving chicken. I'm vegetarian, but I like the taste of chicken. And when I was in LA, I found this shop that does those, like they're the vegan substitutes for real-life things. And they did these vegan chicken nuggets that tasted, like, better than real chicken nuggets. And I was eating them all the time because I like junk food, right? And I went down eventually because I was so nervous because these things tasted so delicious. I was like, maybe they don't actually know what vegan is. Maybe they're just putting chicken in these chicken nuggets. And I've gone down and go, how do you make them taste so much like chicken nuggets? And she just looked at me and went, real chicken nuggets don't have much chicken in them either, mate.
Here's the scary thing. I always thought chicken was a vegetable.
When did you learn otherwise?
Well,
you aware that carrots aren't beasts?
No. Carrots are what food eats.
Right.
And then you've got white meat, which is vegetable. Then you've got everything else, which is actually meat.
And that's from Mikey's school of you're only gay if you take it.
Oh, yes. Where I have to say, I learnt at the feet of a master.
Oh, you weren't at my feet.
This is very gladiatorial today. So after one influential round of Good News Week, the Robbins team are on 8 points, the Hooper team are on 10 points. Coming up, your darkest fears.